right, so I see some new names, so new faces. So welcome. My name is Sarah. So happy to have you here. And as always, if you are not a new name or face, happy to have you back. Love to see you guys every week. This is the best part of my week. So our comfortable seated position that we will get started in can be whatever works best for you this morning. So whether it's seated with the legs crossed or with the legs out long or knees bent, feet planted, anything there will work best. And we'll just start off our practice as usual in that comfortable seated position by just bringing a little bit of awareness into the body, a little bit of awareness into the space that we're going to begin in so that we can move into our practice mindfully today. So finding that comfortable seated position, and I want to start off with our scan of the body. So starting from the top of the head and moving all the way down to the tips of the toes. And all this scan is without any judgment, just for you to notice where you're at, how you're feeling. Notice your points of tension. Notice those spaces that are a little extra tight, maybe because you've been sitting a little bit extra this week. Maybe because you moved a little bit too much this weekend or didn't move quite enough this weekend. And maybe there are some spaces that feel particularly good this afternoon, this morning. And noticing those as well, so that when we find ranges of motion that work those spaces, you can take them up that extra half. As you take your initial scan of the body, I'd like to invite you to begin with any range of motion that may feel good for you to start your practice with. So starting your practice off on the right foot, if you found tension through the lower back, maybe it's a spinal twist that feels good for you to start with. If it's through the torso or the core, maybe it's a lateral stretch that feels good to start with. If it's through the shoulders, maybe it's a couple shoulder circles. Maybe it's through the lower body, so you take the legs out long and find a couple of forward folds, nice and easy. We'll take about 4 nice deep breaths here in any of those initial ranges of motion that will feel good for you to start your practice with this morning. So taking that couple of moments, feeling it out, finding what feels good for you to get started with. And while we're in this initial range of motion, also taking a moment to notice your breath. Maybe make it a little bit deeper, breathe a little bit differently than you might if you were sitting at your computer a little bit stressed about work. Taking one more nice deep breath here in this initial range of motion to just go ahead and even up and then bring it on back to center, that comfortable seated position. And then we'll get moving in our kind of collective ranges of motion. So we'll start from the top, we'll start with the head and the neck. So when you bring it back to center, we're just gonna find one big inhale to find that super long spine, to lift that head, to maybe pull the shoulder blades just slightly together in the back. And then our exhale is gonna drop the chin to the chest. Nice and easy here at a range and a pace that feels good for you. I want you to start to roll the head side to side. So right here towards the right shoulder, opening up through the left side of the neck, and then down through center, left ear towards the left shoulder. As always, if you'd like a little more intensity, you can look up towards that opposite corner. A little less intensity keeps your face a little bit closer towards your legs. So just nice and easy, side to side, couple of rolls of the head and the neck, starting to loosen up the neck and the shoulders here. And taking that one more time in each direction. Feel free to hit that third range of motion if you need to even up. When you finish that second direction one final time, our next exhale is going to drop the chin back to the chest, right in center like we started. And then our inhale is going to lift that head back up nice and long. As soon as you get back there and take your time, we'll go into our shoulder rolls nice and easy. So choose a direction, either direction, nice big shoulder circles up towards the ears, and then either down and back or down into the front. Finding that range of motion, getting them ready to go. Not a lot of shoulder work today, so a little different than normal for our Pilates, but that's okay. Still good to get them moving. One more circle in this first direction, then go ahead and change direction. So if you're bringing it to the back, go ahead and bring it to the front, and vice versa. If we're bringing it to the front, go ahead and bring it to the back. A couple more nice little circles to get the shoulders warmed up. Fabulous. One more circle in this second direction. And then that next exhale releases those shoulders nice and low away from the ears. We'll go into our lateral stretches up next. So finding your center, finding your comfortable seat. That next inhale takes our arms out and up towards the ceiling. First, let's pause here. Stretching super long away from center, fingertips up as high as you can get them. Maybe you look up towards them. Nice big stretch. And then our next exhale is going to take that right hand down towards the mat on your right side. Left arm comes up over top. The palm can meet or the elbow can meet depending on your range of motion today. Our next inhale is going to pull us through center, finding that long spine once again, and our exhale down to that second side. Same thing, palm or elbow. And from here, I invite you to move at a pace that feels good for you. So those inhales pulling you through center and those exhales down in either direction. And if you move a little faster or slower than me, that's totally fine. Like I said, working at a pace that works for you to get started with. And just a couple times in each direction here, finding that nice stretch. Maybe you open a little bit more through the chest to find that chest opener in this lateral stretch. Maybe you keep the shoulder a little bit more closed to open up through the core, through the side of the torso. Let's go one more time in each direction here. One more time each way. When you finish that second direction one final time, that inhale pulls those arms back to center and our exhale circles them down and around. Again, taking your time. So if you need to finish out one more direction and even out. And then our second to last warm-up range of motion will be our spinal twist. So you can always keep your arms low for your spinal twist, or we can take them up nice and high. So if you're taking them up, our inhale takes us up to center. And then everyone, our exhale is going to take the shoulders towards that right wall, that left arm around to the outside of that right leg, and that right hand around behind the back. Same as our lateral stretch, let's go ahead and move at a pace that works well for you. So our inhale is pulling us through center. Again, the arms can stay low through center or come up through center. Exhale, shoulders come in that opposite direction. Left hand comes around behind the back, right arm comes to the outside of that leg. And then let's go ahead and move at a pace that feels good for you. Inhaling to our long spine through center and exhaling in either direction. If it feels good to maybe find a little hold in your spinal twist, feel free. If it feels better to move a little faster, feel free to move a little faster side to side. Excellent. Let's go one more time in each direction. Same as always, if you need to finish out that third range of motion to even out, feel free. That last inhale brings us to center. Maybe those arms come up. And then that exhale circles them down and around, releasing the shoulders nice and low away from the ears, releasing the arms down towards our side. And our final warm up range of motion is going to be a lower body stretch. So we're going to have the right leg folded in, sole of that right foot on that inner thigh. That left leg is going to come out long. We're just going to find a couple of folds and then a lateral stretch here. So I want you to start nice and gentle with yourself. Turn your torso towards your left leg. And then we're just going to fold forward nice and easy. Fingertips coming out towards as far as you can stretch forward. So maybe yours just come towards your shin. Maybe they come out to the ankle. Maybe you wrap them around the bottom of the foot. Wherever you are is fabulous. Finding one inhale and exhale here. With that exhale, try and release the tension in the hamstring and the lower back and shoulders. Inhale pulls us up to that nice long spine, up to nice and tall once again. And then we'll just go right back into it. Exhale takes us out nice and long, fingertips towards the toes, towards the ankle, towards the shin. Nice big lower body stretch here. Let's turn this into our lateral stretch. So left fingertips stay towards our left toes. There we go. Right arm is going to sweep around and then up over top, same way that that right arm did for our lateral stretch when we were going down towards that left side. So nice big stretch from those right fingertips all the way down to that right hip in contact with the mat. Next exhale pulls the right fingertips back down towards those left toes. And then our inhale rolls us up to that long spine. We're going to come through center with both legs long. So I want you to keep your left leg long, lengthen your right, probably where you would be a little bit wider than the short end of your mat. And then we'll just walk right down center. So this one might be a little bit more challenging of a stretch than that single direction. Just want you to inhale and then exhale, walk those fingertips down center, finding them as far forward as they can go, releasing the lower back, releasing the shoulders, the head and the neck. And that right leg might feel a little bit more tense than the left on this first side. That's okay, because we haven't stretched it out yet. Same as we did on that left side, we're going to come out of it and into it one time. So our inhale brings us up to that long spine. Our exhale folds us forward. And then our next inhale brings us back up nice and tall. We're just going to switch sides. So we're going to pull that left leg in so that that sole of the foot is near that inner right thigh. And then same as before, just turning the torso towards that right leg, gently folding it forward, fingertips down towards the shin, towards the ankle, towards the toes, maybe wrapped around the underside of the foot. Finding that exhale to release that strain, that stress on the hamstring, on the lower back. Fabulous. Next inhale comes just part way out of it. So coming up to our long spine. And then our exhale folds us back forward into it one more time. Fingertips towards the shin, towards the ankle, towards the toes. Nice big stretch. Fabulous. Let's turn this into our lateral stretch. Right fingertips stay towards the right toes. Left arm comes up over top for that nice big lateral stretch, opening from those left fingertips down to that left hip in contact with the mat. Next, exhale circles that left arm back down towards those right toes. And our inhale brings us up to that long spine. We're going to finish our warm up with one more time down center. So taking that leg back out, that left leg back out, and then we're just going to fold it forward one final time. So just this last time, right down center. Maybe this feels a little different than it did the first time because we stretched out that right leg a little bit more. Maybe it feels about the same, and that's okay. Just walking those fingertips forward. Can you get another 1/2 centimeter? Excellent. Next inhale rolls us back up. Okay. And we're going to make our transition towards our flow from here. Like I said, we've got just kind of a quick little flow that'll work a little lower body. It'll take us into some core and some hip work. And then we'll go right back into our flow again to the other side. So we are going to start standing at the top of our mat. I invite you to make that transition in a way that works best for you. Maybe grab a sip of your beverage on your way up. And then when you get there, you should have space behind us to step back because we'll be stepping back into our crescent lunge today. All righty. So making your way up towards the top of your mat. When you get to standing, if there's any final range of motion that might feel good for you to get to while you start standing, maybe it's that forward fold again, maybe it's that spinal twist, maybe it's just a big stretch long away from center. Wherever you're at, if something's going to feel good, go ahead and find that. And then start to make your way to the top of your mat, to your mountain pose. Those feet either right under those hips, or they can be a little bit wider or narrower if you'd like them to be. Those shoulders nice and low away from the ears. Shoulder blades just slightly pulled towards each other. So thinking about good posture here. We're going to find 2 nice deep breaths leading with those arms. That first inhale sweeps those arms out and up towards the ceiling. Exhale just circles the arms down and around. On the second one, we'll find our fold with our exhale. So our inhale still takes us out and up towards the ceiling. Our exhale folds us forward. So bringing those fingertips down towards the mat, trying to kind of release and relax that spine, finding your big stretch. And maybe you feel this a lot through the backs of the legs if they're nice and tight. Maybe you feel it a little bit more through the lower back if it's a little bit tight. That's okay, just noticing that. Maybe you start with a gentle bend in your knees if that helps. Let's find a halfway lift here. Our inhale takes us to that flat back, our long spine, and our exhale folds us forward. We're going to take this into our chair pose. It'll be really brief for our first time through it. I want you to inhale, sweep your arms up, sink your hips back. If you need to adjust your feet a little bit closer or further apart, feel free to. Awesome. We're going to take this into our crescent. So what I want you to do is take that right leg and we're just going to slide or step it back. So we're back in that crescent lunge. That left knee is bent, That right heel is off of the mat. We're finding our balance. So take your moment here, find your long, strong core, find your balance, find that nice bend through that left knee. Now this is going to take us into just a little bit of lower body work because we're going to lower down to the floor for our stretches. You can use your hands if you'd like to by folding forward and lowering from there, or from this position, you can nice and gently bend both knees and softly land that right knee on the mat. When you get there, that top of that right foot is also going to meet the mat, and then we're going to fold it forward. So we're in that hip flexor stretch. So fingertips down just around those toes, pressing those hips forward for that nice stretch through that right hip flexor. From here, let's take it back to our hamstring stretch. So pressing those hips back, lengthen that front leg, lift those front toes, hinge forward at the hips through the back of that left leg. That nice big stretch, fabulous. Let's take it back just to that low lunge. Okay, so again here, you can keep your hands down for this transition, or for more challenge, you can start with them up towards the ceiling. We're just gonna take it directly back up to our crescent lunge. So curling that right toe under, whether the hands are up or down, and then pressing back up so that that right knee is back off of the floor. If you have those hands down, then go ahead and sweep them up, meet us in that crescent. We're gonna find a really brief warrior three. So I want you to shift your weight onto your left foot, lifting those right toes or lifting that pressure off of those right toes. Now you can keep the toes down. If you can't quite find your balance, you can lift them up and find that length if you can. All right, we're gonna take a slight bend in that standing knee, that left knee, and then bring that right foot down to meet it, which is gonna take us right into our chair. So sweeping the arms up and sinking the hips back a little bit deeper. Awesome, this is gonna transition us down to the mat for our core work. So I want you to bend the knees a little bit deeper. Go ahead and step one knee down and then the other. Feel free to use your hands for that. And then we're gonna bring those hands down, circle those legs around, sink those hips back, and bring it over onto our hips for our core work. We're gonna start with just a little boat pose here. So with your heels down, just to get us started, finding our long spine, heels are on the mat. We're just gonna hinge backwards until your core feels like it's working. So maybe for you, that's just an inch or two. Maybe for you, that's more like that 45-degree angle. Either way, that lower back is nice and long. We're not putting it at any kind of risk. Now, if you feel pretty strong in this position and you'd like to lift your heels for this first one, feel free. If you want to keep them down, also feel free. We're just going to be here for 4, 3, 2, and 1. We're going to lower down and lengthen. So lengthen those legs, lower that torso. We're down onto the mat. Awesome. Let's find our single leg stretch. Pull that right knee in towards the chest. We're going to lift the left leg up off of that mat. The lower it is, the more challenging this will be. The higher it is, the easier this will be. Go ahead and lift the head and shoulders if you'd like that extra challenge. We're gonna take the right leg out long to meet the left. They should both be long for a moment, and then pull that left leg in. So from here, go ahead and move at your own pace. Slower is gonna be a little more challenging, especially if you add that extra pause while both legs are long, and then we pull that opposite side in. Making sure you breathe in, making sure you're keeping our core activated all the way through. We're just gonna be here for another 10 seconds. Awesome work, awesome work. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Pull those knees into the chest, let the head and shoulders release and relax. All right, awesome job. We're gonna go into our hip work next. So I'm gonna lengthen those legs out long, and then I'm just gonna roll to face the camera. If you'd like to roll to face the camera for your first round, that's fabulous. If both directions are gonna be facing the camera, feel free to just choose whichever one sounds better for your first side. We're just gonna do a little work with this top hip. So we're on that bottom hip. That head can be either down on the bicep, or if you need a little bit more support, you can bend that elbow, the torso, the spine is nice and long here and in a good position. So we're gonna start off with just the top leg lift and lower. We're keeping our hips stacked one on top of the other. Flex that foot, so pointing the heel towards that outside wall. And then we're just gonna lift through your range of motion, keeping those hips stacked and lower, keeping it moving just at a decent pace. So not super fast, not quite a pulse, but not too slow. So keeping it moving, getting a couple reps in here. Fabulous work. All right, we're just going to change this up by pointing the toes. So rather than pointing the heel towards that wall, go ahead, point those toes. Awesome. We're gonna go back to that flexed foot. So next time the leg comes down, flex the foot, point the heel, point the toes up towards the ceiling this time. So heel is still pointing towards that opposite wall, toes are pointing up, lift through your range of motion there. Might be a little different than without those toes pointing up, that's okay. Still keeping those hips stacked. You can always use that top hand for that support like I am. Nice. This next time that you come down, we're just going to switch the way that that foot is facing. Toes are going to point down. Heel is going to point up. So we're still flexing the foot. Heel still points towards that wall, but we're going to lead up towards the ceiling with the heel. This might decrease your range of motion. That's okay. If you feel a little cramp, you can release that flex just a little bit. Excellent work, you guys. All right, last change here. We're going to change our range of motion. So we're going to go front to back instead of up and down. So keeping the hips stacked, and that's super important. So you'll have to use your core and maybe that top hand. We're going to take it out front and then behind. So keep those hips stacked, keep that core engaged. If you can't take it more than a couple inches in front or behind, that's okay. You're still fine in that range of motion. Awesome. And we're just going to change it up by adding a little bicycle. So next time you come to the back, bend the knee, bring it through to the front with the knee bent, lengthen it when you get to the front. So it's going backwards straight and bent towards the front, just like you're riding a bicycle. Awesome job, you guys. We're here for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Go ahead and release and relax. Maybe that top leg comes down to the front for a little release. And we're just gonna flip it over. I'm gonna completely switch sides, so I'm still facing you, but you can just roll to the back. We're gonna do those exact same things on the other side. So other leg is gonna come on top. Same options with your upper body. We're gonna start with just that flexed foot and that lift and lower. So the foot is flat. We're gonna lift it up towards the ceiling and then bring it on back down. Keeping it moving right like that. Excellent, excellent, fabulous work. All right, let's change it to that pointed toe. So next time you bring it down, point that toe towards that outside wall rather than the heel. Bringing it up and back down, a little bit of hip work. This side might feel a little tougher than the other because the hip that you just worked is now supporting you, and this hip that we're working was supporting you on that other side. Excellent. Let's take that foot flexed once again and then point those toes up towards the ceiling. So the heel points towards that opposite wall. Those toes point up, finding that lift and lower. This may change your range of motion a little bit. That's okay. Awesome. Looking good, looking good. And go ahead. Next time you bring it down, we're changing that heel to point up. So the foot is still flexed. The heel points towards the ceiling. The toes point towards the ground. Nice. Awesome job. Awesome job. One more there. And then we'll change our range of motion. So we're going front to back now. Again, using your core to support yourself. Keeping it nice and long and strong. And maybe it's just a couple inches in each direction. That's okay. Awesome work, you guys. Let's turn it into that bicycle. So leg is long on the way back. We bend at the back, pull it bent to the front, and extend when we're out in front. So adding that little bicycle range of motion, working those hips today. Awesome job, awesome job. We're just here for another 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Nicely done. Go ahead and roll back onto your back. If you need to readjust because you turned around, feel free to. Bring it onto our back. We've got one final core movement before we take it back up. We're going to start with our heels both on the ground. You can use your arms or your elbows for a little bit of support as we come up. We're going to alternate pulling it up into kind of a sprinter's crunch. So we're going to pull one knee up, come up to that seated high, and then extend. The last challenge, you're going to press that opposite heel into the ground. For a little more challenge, maybe those legs float and we still pull that opposite knee in. Again, maybe you use those arms, those elbows to kind of press off of the floor. That's fabulous if that's what you need to do to get up. Keeping it moving just like that, getting going. Maybe you press those heels in, like I said. We're just here for about another 10 seconds. Keep breathing, keep going. Excellent work, you guys. We got 4, 3, 2, and 1. Go ahead, nice and easy. Pull those knees into the chest. Maybe rock a little bit side to side or in little circles. All right, nice. Next exhale rolls us up to seated. And then we're going to bring it through that kneeling position again. If that doesn't quite work for you, feel free to bring it just to standing in a way that works best. So circling those legs around, bringing it to those knees. We're going to try and go directly into our chair once again. So when you bring it up to standing, trying to keep those knees bent, stepping one foot up, keeping that knee bent, and bringing that other leg up to meet it. We're back in that kind of squat chair position. Holding here for a moment, making any small adjustments that you need to. Awesome. We're here for 4, 3, 2, and let's stand it up nice and tall. Circle the arms down and around. Feel free to shake anything out that you need to. Maybe that little spinal twist. Maybe those hips are feeling it a little bit. Feel free to grab a sip of your beverage. All right, how we doing? Feeling all right? If you have your camera on, feel free to throw me a thumbs up. If you don't, we got those reactions. Awesome. Bye, Keshwar. Good to see you. Awesome, awesome. Great, great, great. Fabulous, you guys. Thank you, thank you. Okay. All righty. So taking it on back to the top of our mat. We're gonna do that little flow one more time through. This time we'll add a little bit of core front and not quite bring it down to the mat the second time. So finding your mountain pose at the top of your mat, finding that first big inhale, taking those arms out and up. We're gonna take it right into our fold here, fingertips down towards the toes, towards the mat. Once again, maybe you still got that bend in those knees, maybe that back is nice and rounded out. We're releasing and relaxing. Take our halfway lift, flat back, long spine, and fold it forward. Let's take it into our chair from here. Sweeping the arms up, sinking those hips back. Awesome, finding that nice bend in those knees, finding that nice long spine. If you can't have your long spine without those arms being a little bit lower, feel free to keep the arms a little lower. We want the back nice and safe here. Awesome, let's take it back into our crescent. So that left leg this time is gonna slide or step back. The heel is off of the floor. That right knee is bent. Nice. All right, so from here, we've got our long, strong core. We're gonna take it down to that left knee. So if you wanna fold it forward first, feel free to, a little extra support. If not, we're bending both of those knees. That left knee meets the mat. When you get down there, the top of that left foot meets the mat. So a little extra lower body stability work. Let's take it into our stretch. Bring those hands down, press those hips forward. Hip flexor stretch here. Awesome, let's take it back into that hamstring stretch. Front toes lift, front leg lengthens, hips shift back, hinging forward at those hips. Awesome, fabulous. Okay, let's take it on back to our low lunge, pressing it forward. Once again, you can keep those hands down for this transition, or you can sweep them up for a little more work. We're turning that left toe under and pressing straight up back into our crescent lunge. Once again, finding your balance, finding that nice bend in that front leg, that right leg, that long, strong core. Here comes our warrior 3, transferring your weight onto that right foot this time. Again, toes can stay down if you're a little lower on the balance today. They can lift if you've got a little bit more balance today. Anywhere in between is fabulous. Trying to keep those hips squared. Excellent. Next exhale, bends the right knee, brings that left down to meet it, bring it back to that chair. Awesome. Next exhale folds us forward, fingertips towards the mat, hips lift. Okay, like I said, a little bit different of core work here. I want you to bend those knees, plant those hands, step those feet back nice and long. We're in our high push-up plank position. All right, you've got 2 options for this next one, depending on how the wrists are feeling, on how the core is feeling. Your first option is to press from your plank back into kind of a rocket or a bear pose. Your second option is to drop those knees and do your cobra to child's pose flow. Either way, you're gonna get a little more core work or a little more stretch. I just want you to press it forward and backward at a pace that feels good for your shoulders, for your wrists, for your hips. So just depending on what your goals are here. If you want a little more core work, knees are floating. If you want a little less core work and a little more stretch, knees are down, and we're pressing front to back in our cobra to our child's pose. We're just here for about another 10 seconds. So keeping it moving right like that. Awesome. 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring it back out to that plank. All right, we're gonna do our nice slow and controlled mountain climbers next. So knee towards those elbows and then back out. So we're not bringing it up to that jog today. We're keeping it controlled. We're keeping those hips low. We're dropping the knees towards the floor as we bring them underneath. Little core stability, little shoulder stability. We're here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Give me your down dog. Press the hips up and back. Little break for our core. Fabulous. Nice and easy. Let's go ahead and bring those knees down to the mat. We're in our hands and knees position. Find a little bit of core work before we finish off with our flow. We're going to do our bird dogs here. So those wrists need a roll or two before you get started. Feel free to give those wrists a roll or two. Our right arm and left leg are going to start us off. We're going to inhale to extend nice and long. From there, you've got 2 options. Every time you can bring it down for more stability, or you can bring the elbow and the knee towards each other in center for a little more balance and core challenge. Same as that front to back with our plank to rocket. Keep it moving kind of at a nice, easy pace, but keep it moving here. So our inhale extends, our exhale pulls us in. Fabulous. Nice job, you guys. Way to keep moving. We're on this first side for another 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Go ahead and set that first side down, that right arm and that left leg. Again, if those wrists need a roll or two, or that lower back needs a little release, take your little release, and then we'll bring it back up. Same exact thing on our second side. Here we go. Left arm and right knee lift. We're extending. You've got those same 2 options. You can pull towards center, or with each one, you can set down and rebalance. Excellent work. Keeping on flowing with your breath. You guys look great today. I love seeing all the cameras on. You guys look awesome. Nice. We're here for another 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Same couple options. Set that second side down. You can press back for a little bit of lower back relief. You can lift off of those wrists for a couple of wrist circles. Take the option that works best for your body. Excellent. We're going to transition through our downward facing dog. So I want you to bring it on up. If you're in that child's pose, lift the hips, curl the toes under, hips up and back. Awesome. From here, we're going to bend those knees and step those feet forward to meet the hands into our forward fold. Excellent. Our inhale rolls us up, extended mountain. So when you get to that long spine, take those arms overhead. Here comes our flow. Fold it forward, fingertips towards the toes. Halfway lift, flat back, long spine. Fold it forward. Into that chair pose. Sweep the arms up, sink the hips back. Nice. Let's slide that right leg back into our crescent lunge. That left knee is bent. That right leg is as long as your hips will allow you to get it. We're just going to do 3 pulses instead of all the way down to the floor here. So I want you to pulse down, bend both of those knees, and then back up. 3, 2, and 1. Sink back into that crescent lunge position. Warrior 3. Weight goes onto that left foot. You can step it right up. You can keep those toes down for a little extra balance support. Our spine is nice and long. Our hips are nice and even. You can always have those hands in at center if that helps your lower back a little bit more, or that helps your space a little bit more. One more inhale here. Excellent. Looking good. Exhale, steps that right down to meet the left. Bring it into that chair. Little extra tension on that lower body, little extra work. Nice job, you guys. Fold it forward, fingertips towards the mat. Halfway lift, flat back, long spine. Fold it forward. Here comes our chair, second side. Sweep the arms up, sink the hips back. We're almost there, you guys. This is it. Awesome. Let's take it back to our crescent. Left leg slides back, heel up, toe down, right knee is bent. Here come those 3 pulses, bending both knees, bringing it down, pressing it up to nice and long. 3, 2, little stretch for that lower body here, a little work for that lower body. Last one, and then bring it back into that crescent. That right knee is bent. Awesome. Here comes our warrior 3, transferring our weight onto that right leg, pressing up onto it. Again, toes can stay down, hands can be at heart center. Maybe you take the arms behind for that airplane. Excellent work, looking good. We're here for one more big inhale. Exhale steps us into our final chair. Left goes down next to the right. Those knees are bent. We're here for about 10 seconds. This is it, you guys. Final little bit of work. Stick with me here. 4, 3. Can you find a little bit lower? And 1, fold it forward, fingertips towards the toes, hips up nice and high. Whew, awesome job, you guys. We're gonna roll it up to our extended mountain from here. Let's find a lateral stretch, once in each direction. Right hand comes down, left arm comes up over top. Ooh, our inhale pulls us through center. Other side. Inhale pulls us back to center. Nice long spine, nice long arms. Exhale circles the arms down. All right, one more nice deep breath to finish us off here, leading with those arms. Those palms meet overhead. Our inhale takes us out and up. Palms meet. And our exhale pulls those hands down to heart center. Thank you so much for joining me on this rainy Wednesday afternoon. I hope to see you guys again next time. The light in me honors the light in you. Bowing as we say, namaste.